17:33 through 37. Let's say it again. 1 Samuel 17:33 through 37. If we would, if you can stand to give reverence to the word of God. Amen. And it reads, Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from this hand of this Philistine." Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Father God, I just ask that you would just touch and anoint, God. God, I ask that you would decrease me, that you can increase, God. That you will hide me behind that rugged cross, God. That, God, that you would bring forth the word that break the yokes. The anointing shall fall on this place, God. That deliverance will come to pass right now, God. God, that you would take away my flesh, God. And it'll be all of you and none of me. And this is I ask in your name. Amen. Amen. For the time that I'll be with you, it's going to be limited. I'm not going to keep you all day, but I'm going with the title, The Fight of My Life. All right. Come on, Jackson. The Fight of My Life. As I was reading through articles, I came across a news story that was told about a Seattle man who accidentally burnt his house to the ground recently after trying to kill a spider with a cigarette lighter and a can of spray paint. The man later told the police that the spider has been lurking in his laundry, and he accidentally lit the wall on fire with his makeshift flamethrower. Surprisingly enough, this is not out of the norm. Actually, it happened quite often, because a couple weeks ago, a lady in Kansas lit her laundry on fire after seeing a spider crawl in a pile of towels. The fire quickly got out of hand and her home went up in flames. She'd been charged with aggravated arson. As you see, these two people in this story lost everything they loved in a matter of seconds because of fear. In a matter of seconds, they lost everything they worked at 9 to 5 to gain because they saw something and they was afraid. As we talk about this subject of fear, fear will cause your dreams and your goals to be in focus. Fear will cause the things that you love and things that you are trying to attain to be at a standstill and you be in a stuck place. Fear will cause those to be unhappy and depressed because they are not living out their full potential because of fear. And the Bible says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. So if you operating in fear, it's totally opposite of faith. So if you operating in fear, you are displeasing God. So even as we go through this, fear will have caused a lot of people to miss opportunities. And they upset because somebody reached off of their ideal, but that person was able to take the step necessary while you stay back in fear. As we talk about, this is March Madness, and we're talking about expansion. In order to expand, you got to have courage to be able to step out, even in the midst of fear. When I look at Scripture, John 14:27, it said, "Peace I leave you. Peace I give you. I do not give as the world give, for be not afraid. Let your hearts not be troubled and be not afraid." It says in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind." If you have fear, you will, it's totally opposite of love.
That's right.
Fear will cause you to be jealous and hateful. Fear don't have you a sound mind because of your anxiety. Fear do not give you power because when you in fear, you operating in weakness. You got to be careful when it comes to fear. A second of faith can release what your fear has blocked for years. I say that again. A second of faith will release what your fear has blocked for you. So as I go to the text, a very familiar text, we all know about David and Goliath, but Jesse has 8 boys. 3 of the elders is in Saul's army.
That's right.
And David, the youngest boy, is back tending and being a shepherd in the backfield.
Yes.
One day, Jesse asked David to go give a report on his brothers and to send food their way. So David did as his father requested, and he went to give a report of how his brothers was doing.
That's right.
While David was there, he got to witness Goliath to come out as he does day in and day out,
yes,
and was taunting the Israel army. His request was, you can find one man to come fight me, then we will defeat me, then I will become your servants. But if I defeat your man, then you will become servants unto us. No one has answered that deal. Pastor preached last week, deal or no deal. Did nobody take that deal? And David was really confused, because how can you allow this uncircumcised? So that means he's not in the covenant. He's not connected to God, but you are the children of Israel, and you are allowing this giant to taunt you. David was real confused.
Yeah.
And because David began to ask questions, his older brother became upset and said, don't you have some sheep to keep?
Well,
David's question was a valid question.
Well,
I don't know the reason why David got us. I don't know the reason why the brother got upset. Was it because the verse prior, the chapter prior, that David was anointed king?
Well,
and he wasn't the oldest brother, he wasn't the best looking, and he wasn't the strongest, but he had the heart of God. That God did not look at outer appearance, he only looked from the inside. I don't know when he looked at David that he saw his insecurities, that he saw a person that he thought he should be, but he took what he thought he should have. Or maybe it was just that David questioned change.
well,
Some people has the fear of change. Change is something that we cannot avoid, but a lot of people get uncomfortable with change. People will get upset at you because you begin to question traditions and systems. Some of you, God has called you to a church, to a job, to a community to challenge those things. But the people there are going to get upset with you because they're comfortable of where they at. They're scared of change. Fear causes change, causes people to be uncomfortable. And when you begin to question that, they begin to get upset because they're comfortable where they at. They have not made any progress. This Goliath has been doing this for 40 days and nobody has accepted that deal. Oh, they was comfortable. And David came to challenge him. And then he said, don't you have a few sheep to tend?
well,
it's important that you don't let anyone belittle you where you're at now, because it's only preparing you for your purpose. It doesn't matter that you are young. It doesn't matter where you come from, your social economics, or the community you was raised. It doesn't matter that you don't have the conditions yet behind your name. If God called you to it, then do it.
That's right.
David understood that if it wasn't for him tending the sheep, that he knew the job responsibilities of a shepherd, that he was able to write Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. If it wasn't for David tending the sheep, that he wouldn't know how to prepare to be a king. It was because of what he did as a shepherd. If it wasn't for him being able to protect the sheep when it was when lions, tigers, and bears came, then he would not understand in Samuel 30 when he had to fight for his people. Because he learned how to fight for the sheep, he also learned how to fight for his people. And because of this, rumors get out and word traveled fast around town. And word got back to Saul. So Saul sent for David. And David came to Saul and said, do not be troubled. Send me. And don't nobody else go, I go. And Saul began to tell David that you are young and you don't have much experience as a lion. And David responds, he didn't get upset. He didn't curse him out. He didn't leave Israel. What he did, he gave receipts. David began to talk about how God kept him in the field. Daniel, how God kept him from the lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. God, he began to show how his God was able to operate.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are going to question you and say that you're not good enough. The only thing you got to do is give receipts. The only thing you got to do is give an account of what God has already done. How God has already kept you. How He already made a way.
Yes, sir.
In this text, we have an example of what's even present now in 2019. Right now, we are dealing with the gap between the baby boomers and the millennials.
Well,
this is still valid because Saul discounted David really only because of age and experience.
That's right.
This gap between the millennials and the baby boomers has spilled over to the workplace, fighting social justice and the church. The baby boomers feel like the millennials are lazy and doesn't have a good work ethic. The millennials feel like the baby boomers are resistant to change and lack understanding. Instead of being at odds, imagine what could happen if people work together.
Come on now.
Instead of being at odds, imagine what things could happen if people work together. Saul did not give David any advice. Only thing Saul gave him was some garments to wear to warfare that was unusable to David. And he sent him into battle without any support. He didn't sit down and give him any pointers because they was from a different generation. They had the same enemy, but they had different methods. And you got to understand that when we begin to work together, and when we fight social justice and to bring people back into the church, that we can no longer have this gap, but we have to appreciate one another. We have to appreciate what they was able to do in the 60s with the marches and the sit-ins and the bus boycott. But the older generation have to appreciate the youth with their flexibility and their creativity. Instead, we must come together and stop being separated in order for change to happen. It's going to be a movement, but we have to come together to make that change happen.
Come on, man, help us. Preach now.
At this point, David had to argue with his brother. He had to prove himself to the king, and he has not yet been able to walk into battle with Goliath. David was basically sent into a battle alone. For in actuality, nobody believed he was able to accomplish this task. Some of you are facing battles alone that you won't be able to take the crowd with you into this assignment.
Come on now.
You have to be careful and trust God in this, because even though some people may not believe in you, you are operating with a God that's able to do any and everything. And this is where we is at in this text, that he understood as he gave his receipts that the God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. The same God that kept me last year is the same God that's keeping me today. And the same God that I'm trusting keep me next year. I don't know about you, but as I begin to reflect over my life and notice how God has brought me out of some situations, that's why I have faith today, because I look back on my receipts. And David understood that he can do all things. Not some things, not these things, but all things in Christ which strengthens him. And I'm about to go through and give you a couple pointers as you are going through your fight of your life. And I'm using my David as a reference. David understood that my God is greater than anything I'm facing. First point, my God is greater than anything I'm facing. David knew this only to be true because he had to fight some private battles.
That's right.
David battles with the lions, tigers, and bears was witnessed when no one else was around. He had to protect his purpose. He had to protect his will. And even though he didn't look like what he went through, and some of you all who has been fighting some battles and you've been in your prayer closet and things have been keeping you up at night and don't nobody else know about because you're fighting for your life. And even though people don't notice it, but God says, I've been keeping you in your private battles. And the private battles is only preparing you for your big battle. That I'm using these fights to prepare you, to sustain you for where you headed, because you haven't reached your Goliath yet. But as you keep trusting in me, I'm going to keep you at your job. I'm going to keep you against your enemies, because I'm preparing you for your destiny. It was Goliath that got David to be king, because he had to learn how to fight giants. But before you fight giants, you got to fight some lions, tigers, and bears. David also understood that God graced him for this. They understand that the lions, tigers, and bears, and even Goliath was bigger and stronger than David. But he understood that if it wasn't for God, but God, he was able to fight these battles. They understand that some things that you went through should have took you out. You should have lost your mind. Matter of fact, you should be in central state today. But God, they understood that you should be sleeping dead in your grave. But God, that car accident should have took you out. But God, there's some things in your life that should have took you out the picture. But God graced you to fight those battles. The things that you've been fighting at home, the things you've been fighting at work, if it weren't for God with you, it should have been knocked you out. But it was God that graced you. Understand that in the word it says, not by might, by power, but by his spirit alone. If you don't have God, then it's actually the difference between everyone else and David was one thing, and that was the anointing. The reason why Saul couldn't fight Goliath, the reason his brothers couldn't defeat Goliath, is because they didn't have the anointing on their life.
That's right. My God.
Another thing that David had to understand was he had to be willing to fight what others are afraid of.
My God. That's good.
It's some things, some generation curses that has plagued your family.
Absolutely.
Some things that have been plaguing your community, and nobody else has been stepping up to the plate, but God has graced you to do so. As a matter of fact, this battle that David was fighting did not belong to him, but he took it upon himself to fight it. He stood up and fought back. He refused to pass the buck, outpoint the blame. If God can trust you in the field, you know he can trust you in the palace. So I understand that even though this is not your battle, this is a thing that you've been dealing with that has plaguing your community, God has graced you because you've been willing to fight it. You've been willing to stand in the gap and intercede for people in your community. And God says, I'm trusting you because you're willing not to sit down. You are not trying to hide. You are not making excuses, but you're rising up. You're taking a stand for your community.
My God. My God. That's good.
My second point is fight with what God gave you. Saul began to try to put his equipment on David, and David barely could move. He could not go into fighting with those in the past. For the truth of the matter, it didn't help them.
That's right.
They trying to teach you how to fight. The thing that you trying to teach you did not work on their behalf. The only person that you can listen to in this battle that you are in is God. You have to go in your secret place and trust what God has given you. He has already given you the tools and the skills to succeed. The tools that David needed was with him in the field as he was a shepherd boy. The very thing that they teased and mocked him of was the very thing that was used to defeat the giant. So you have to understand that don't let nobody take you off course, but you have to trust God and use what God gave you. The third point, as you win this battle, you have to be prepared. It's an old African proverb that says, if a child washes his hands, he could eat with kings. So it doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you prepare. You are able to do the same thing. Don't let nobody discount you because of where you came from. What you need to do is get prepared for where you're going. David used the things that was used in his warfare with the sheep, with the tigers and bears. He used his staff and his shepherd bag, and he picked up 5 smooth stones. 5 stones. As you look at the number 4 biblically, it's representative of weakness, of humanness. But if you add a +1 and that equal 5, it equals up to God's grace. David took God's grace with him into battle, and he only needed 1 stone. If he used his strength, he wouldn't have been able to defeat that giant, but he knew that if he took God with him, if he took God's grace with him, because that's why David knew in Psalm 23 that his grace and his mercy followed me, because he understood that he took his grace into battle time and time again. And this last point, told you I won't be before you long. David took Goliath's sword and cut Goliath's head off.
My God.
This story reminds me of when I was growing up and I was in high school and I used to get off the school bus, and at my grandparents' house, it's a long driveway. And one day when I got off the bus, it was a snake curled up in the driveway. I looked at the snake looked back at me. I didn't move, and that snake didn't move. And if anybody know me, they know one of my fears is snakes.
Yes.
So I stood there. But it was somewhere I knew that my grandfather was coming. And as I noticed him come out the door and he was trying to figure out what was going on, I said, "Granddaddy, it's a snake in the middle of the driveway." And my grandfather, he went to his shed and he got him his tool and he walked up with confidence and he rised up and he cut the head off of the snake. And Granddaddy began to tell me, began to teach me, in order to kill a snake, you have to cut its head off. And I don't know what you are dealing with or what giant you are facing, but you have to cut its head off.
Yes, you do.
And sometimes you got to look at your Goliath. I don't know what your giants may be, but you have to look that thing in the face and say, either you're going to kill me or I'm going to kill you. But my Bible says that I am more than a conqueror. My Bible says that greater is in me than he that is in the world. And I refuse to let you take me out. You've been taunting my family for too long, and I refuse to let you touch my community. I don't know what your giant may be. Your giant may be addictions. Your giant may be cancer, low self-esteem, mental illness, or abuse. But you got to look at that thing and say, no longer will you have my family. No longer will you have my mind. No longer will you have my community. But I'm fighting back. I can't lay down. I won't give up.
Yes.
In the fight of my life, either it's going to kill me or I have to kill it. And I refuse to let me die.
Yes.
I know who is with me. I know my God will keep me. And I refuse to beg down.
My God.
Sometimes you have to realize that this is going to be the last time you have hit my family. You have hurt my family. You have taught me and said that I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
But I realize who I have in my life, and I realize who is with me, and I'm able to look at those giants and say that I'm fighting back. I don't know who I'm talking to, but somebody here who is looking at their giants and realizing that I'm fighting back. I'm not sitting down. I'm not giving up. I refuse to throw the towel in because I know what my God is capable of. I know what my God is capable of doing. I will fight back.
Hallelujah.
Earlier in the text, we'll notice that whoever will be able to defeat Goliath, that their family will become tax-free.
Well,
the king will give riches, and he will get a wife of one of the king's daughters.
My God.
This battle that you're facing is not only going to bless you,
Come on
but
now.
it's going to bless your community and your family.
Yes.
After this battle, after this,
Yeah,
God
after
is
this.
going to touch your life like
Yeah.
never before. God is going to bless your household. And he's not just going to stop at your household, but he's going to flow to your community. He's not just going to stop at your community, but he's going to touch your family. You got to understand that you're fighting more than for yourself. You're fighting for your children. You're fighting for your grandchildren. You're fighting for generations to come. You can't give up now because God, people are waiting on you. People are counting on you. And God says, I'm going to bless you because you was willing to go to battle when everybody else was scared, when everybody else was afraid. You stood up for my behalf. You wasn't afraid to fight these battles. And so I'm trusting in you, and I'm going to bless you because you trust in me. I know that we're fighting, and you may be fighting for your life. Things been keeping you up at night. Things have helped you that you can't
Yeah.
It's important that you know
My God.
you got to use what God gave you.
Yes.
Important that you know that you have to be prepared.
Yes.
And in order to win this battle, you have to cut your head off.
Yeah.
David kept coming back for 40 days.
Yes.
Because nobody was willing to cut his head off.
Yes.
This time around, you can't let it come back. But you got to get it right in the roots and uproot that.
Come on.
I don't know what you may need. It may be therapy, but you can't just say that it's a problem and then turn the other cheek. But you got to rise up and confront those things that are trying to turn you down. It's no more just to let it pass over, but it's time to fight those things. And if you don't start fighting, then you're going to stay stagnant at that place. If David never got up, they probably still be in the battle facing each other. And David kept going back and forth. But if you understood that David came and defeated it so it can no longer deal with it anymore. Because look, if he also caused them to be servants under him. The very thing they thought was he going to defeat him because of his size and because of his strength was the very thing that David was ever defeated. And that's why the word says that he was going to make your enemies your footstool. Because he realized that the things that was trying to trump over you, that God's going to use it that you may step over it. And as you step over it, God's going to rise you up and take you to another level. Goliath thought he had a winning battle. He thought he didn't have a fight in his hand. But he defeated him by God's grace.
Yes, he did. Hallelujah.
God's grace.
God's grace.
I don't know how we deal with these battles, but you're going to have God's grace to fight.
Yes, sir.
You have to realize that you're going to have to humble yourself before the Lord.
Yeah.
David never said it was about him. He always put God in.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
You have to humble yourself before the Lord.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In order to fight this battle,
Yes.
you're going to have to take pride out the way.
Yes.
And kneel down before the Lord and watch how far the Lord takes you.
Right. Yes. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.